Imagine coming home on Christmas Day and being dragged into a dark closet by your own housekeeper. Your heart is racing. You want to scream. But then, through a crack in the door, you see your wife. And your brother. And you hear them say the words that make your blood run cold. I doubled the dose. Tonight, we finish it. This is the story of a man who discovered that the most dangerous place in the world was his own home. And the only person trying to save him was someone he walked past every single day without truly seeing. Watch until the end, because the twist in this story will leave you speechless. Welcome to Penthouse Stories with Grandpa. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and share your thoughts on the story, as well as where you are watching from. You know, we often think that danger comes from strangers. We lock our doors at night. We avoid dark alleys. We watch out for people we don't know. But what happens when the real danger is sitting right across from you at the breakfast table? What happens when the people trying to destroy you are the ones who should love you most? This is a story about a man named Daniel Thompson. Daniel was one of the richest men in Atlanta, Georgia. He owned buildings, he had investments all over the country, and his name opened doors that stayed closed for most people. He had everything money could buy, a beautiful mansion in Buckhead, expensive cars, and a life that looked perfect from the outside. But on Christmas Day, Daniel discovered something that no amount of money could protect him from. He discovered that his own wife and his own brother were slowly killing him. Let me take you back to that morning. Daniel woke up feeling terrible. Again. For weeks now, maybe even months, he'd been feeling weak. Dizzy spells would hit him in the middle of meetings. His hands would shake when he tried to sign documents. Sometimes he'd have to sit down suddenly because the room would start spinning. His doctors told him it was stress. You work too hard, they said. You need to slow down. So Daniel tried. He took vitamins. He drank the special green smoothies his wife Jessica made for him every morning. She'd bring them to him with a smile, telling him they were packed with nutrients to help him feel better. But he only got worse. On Christmas morning, Daniel decided to do something different. Usually, he'd be at the office even on holidays. That's how he built his empire, by working when others rested. But this year, Jessica had been hinting that he never spent time at home anymore. So he made a plan. He'd leave the office early, come home, and surprise her. Maybe they could have a quiet evening together, just the two of them. He didn't call ahead. He didn't send a text. He just got in his car and drove home through the decorated streets of Atlanta, past houses with Christmas lights and families gathering together. When he pulled up to his mansion, everything looked peaceful. The gate opened smoothly. The security lights were on. The Christmas wreath hung perfectly on the front door. Daniel grabbed a small gift he'd bought for Jessica and walked up to the house, already imagining her surprised face. He unlocked the door and stepped inside. That's when everything changed. The house was too quiet. No music playing, no sounds from the kitchen, nothing. Just an odd smell, something chemical, like cleaning supplies mixed with something bitter. Daniel stood in the hallway, listening. His instincts, the same ones that helped him make millions in business, told him something was wrong. He took 2 steps forward. Suddenly, someone rushed at him from the side. A hand clamped over his mouth, cutting off his breath. Another hand grabbed his arm and yanked him backward into the darkness. Daniel tried to shout, tried to fight, but the grip was strong. "Sir, please," a woman's voice whispered urgently in his ear. "Don't make a sound. Please." Daniel recognized that voice. It was Rosa, his housekeeper. She'd worked for him for 3 years, cleaning his house, doing his laundry, preparing meals. If you'd asked Daniel yesterday to tell you 3 things about Rosa, he probably couldn't have done it. She was just there, part of the background of his life, someone he barely noticed. Rosa dragged him into a small storage closet near the kitchen and pulled the door almost shut, leaving just a tiny crack to see through. Her finger pressed against his lips, her eyes wide with fear. Daniel's heart pounded so hard he could hear it in his ears. Then he heard footsteps. Slow, casual footsteps crossing the marble floor of his own home. Through the crack in the door, Daniel saw his wife Jessica walk into view. She was dressed up, wearing the kind of outfit she'd wear to go out, not to relax at home on Christmas. She was holding a glass filled with green liquid. His green smoothie. Then his younger brother Kevin walked up beside her. Daniel's mind went blank with confusion. Kevin. What was his brother doing here? They'd had plans to meet later at a charity event. Not now, not at his house without telling him. Jessica and Kevin stood close together, talking in low voices. Too close. Comfortable. Like they'd done this 100 times before. He should be gone by now, Kevin said, his voice carrying clearly to where Daniel hid. He sounded annoyed, impatient. Jessica let out a frustrated sigh. I doubled the dose this morning, she said, looking down at the green smoothie in her hand. Put it right in his drink, just like always. I don't understand how he's still functioning. Daniel felt his legs almost give out beneath him. Rosa's hand tightened on his wrist, holding him up, keeping him steady. Kevin laughed, a short, mean sound. The man's tougher than we thought. But don't worry, tonight we'll finish it. No more waiting. I'm tired of waiting, Jessica said. Her voice was cold, businesslike, like she was talking about a work project, not about killing her own husband. Once he's gone, everything becomes ours. The houses, the accounts, the business. All of it. Daniel's mind raced backward through the past few months. Every morning, Jessica had made him that green smoothie. Every morning, she'd watched him drink it, smiling, asking if he felt better yet. Every morning, she'd been poisoning him. The dizziness, the weakness, the shaking hands, the doctors who found nothing wrong. It all made horrible, perfect sense now. Rosa's grip on his wrist was the only thing keeping him anchored to reality. This woman, this housekeeper he'd barely ever really looked at, had just saved his life. Jessica turned toward the kitchen, her heels clicking on the floor. Daniel pressed himself back into the shadows of the closet, hardly daring to breathe. Rosa stood perfectly still beside him, her hand still gripping his wrist like a lifeline. I think Rosa's been watching me, Jessica said, her voice getting closer. She's been acting strange lately. Asking fewer questions, staying quiet. I don't like it. Kevin's response was sharp and cold. Then get rid of her. Fire her today. We can't have loose ends. Jessica paused. Daniel could almost feel her thinking. After tonight, she finally said. After it's done, I'll let her go. Tell her we're downsizing staff or something. Rosa's face didn't change, but Daniel felt her hand tremble slightly. She'd known she was in danger too, and she'd still chosen to save him. The footsteps moved away. Daniel heard a door close upstairs. Rosa waited, counting silently, then carefully pushed the closet door open. She motioned for Daniel to follow her, and they slipped into the back hallway, the one the staff used, the one Daniel had never paid attention to in all his years living here. Rosa, Daniel whispered, his voice shaking. Why are you doing this? Why are you helping me? Rosa turned to look at him, and for the first time, Daniel really saw her. She was maybe 40 years old, with tired eyes and strong hands. She looked scared but determined. Because I've been watching, she said simply. I've seen things. Strange things. Your wife measuring white powder in the kitchen when she thought no one was looking. Your brother coming over when you're not home. The way you've gotten sicker and sicker, and the way she smiles about it. Daniel felt sick. I need to call the police, he said, reaching for his pocket. I need to. Rosa grabbed his hand. No, she said firmly. No calls. Not yet. But they are trying to kill me. I know, Rosa said. That's exactly why you can't call anyone right now. Think about it, Mr. Thompson. Your wife has had months to plan this. Do you really think she hasn't thought about what happens if you figure it out? Do you think she hasn't made arrangements? Daniel stared at her. What are you saying? Rosa pulled a small plastic bag from her apron pocket. Inside was a white powder. I found this in the trash 2 weeks ago, she said. Your wife had hidden it in the back of a cabinet. I kept it because my gut told me something was very wrong. But here's what else I know. I've heard your wife on the phone talking to Captain Brooks. Daniel's stomach dropped. Captain Brooks was the head of his private security team. He'd hired the man himself, trusted him with his safety. She's bought people, Mr. Thompson, Rosa continued. I don't know how many, but enough that if you make a call right now, they'll know exactly where you are. And if they find you here. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. A door opened somewhere in the house. Both of them froze. Daniel. Jessica's voice floated through the hallway, sweet as honey. Daniel, are you home? I thought I heard the gate. Rosa's eyes went wide. She grabbed Daniel's arm and pulled him toward a side exit he'd forgotten existed, a door the cleaning staff used to take out trash. We have to go, she whispered. Right now. They slipped outside into the warm Georgia evening. Rosa's old Honda was parked by the service gate, almost hidden behind some hedges. She'd parked it there on purpose, Daniel realized. She'd been planning this escape route. They got in the car just as lights came on in the house behind them. Rosa started the engine calmly, like this was just another normal day, and drove toward the service gate. It opened automatically, Daniel's expensive security system working against him now, and they rolled out onto the street. In the rearview mirror, Daniel saw a shadow cross one of the upstairs windows. "Jessica, get down," Rosa said quietly. Daniel slid down in his seat, his heart hammering. They drove through Atlanta's streets. Everywhere Daniel looked, he saw normal life continuing. Families walking together, kids on new bikes, people carrying shopping bags. The world was celebrating Christmas, completely unaware that a man was running for his life from his own wife. Rosa drove for about 15 minutes, then pulled into a scrapyard. Piles of old cars and metal scraps surrounded them. A worker glanced their way, then went back to whatever he was doing. "Why are we here?" Daniel asked. Rosa held out her hand. "Your phone," she said. "And your watch." Daniel looked down at his watch, a Rolex his father had given him 20 years ago. His phone had his entire life on it. Every contact, every password, every account. "Rosa, I can't." "They can track both of those things," Rosa interrupted. "Your phone, your watch, even your car has GPS. Your wife has access to all of it. If we keep them, we might as well just go back to the house and wait for her to finish what she started." Daniel understood, but his hands wouldn't move. Giving up his phone felt like giving up his identity, his power, his connection to everything he'd built. Rosa's voice softened. "I know it's hard," she said. "But your life is worth more than any of those things." Slowly, Daniel unclasped his father's watch. He placed it in Rosa's palm. Then he handed over his phone. Rosa rolled down the window and threw both items into a pile of scrap metal. They disappeared with a dull clang. Daniel felt like he'd just erased himself from the world. Rosa drove on, taking them to a part of Atlanta Daniel had never visited. Small houses with chain-link fences. Cracked sidewalks. Corner stores with bars on the windows. This was where Rosa lived, Daniel realized. This was the world she went home to every night after cleaning his mansion. She pulled into an alley behind a tiny house and parked. "Come inside," she said. Quickly. Daniel followed her through a back door into the smallest house he'd ever been in. It was 1/10 the size of his mansion, maybe less. But it was clean. A small plastic Christmas tree sat on a table with a single strand of lights. No presents underneath. Just a red bow taped to the wall. Rosa locked the door behind them, then locked it again. She closed all the curtains. "Sit down," she said, pointing to a worn couch. The moment Daniel sat, his body seemed to give up. Heat rushed through him. Sweat soaked through his shirt. The room tilted and spun. "I'm fine," he tried to say, but the words came out wrong. Rosa touched his forehead and pulled her hand back quickly. "You're burning up," she said. "The poison is still in your system." She brought water and a cool cloth, wiping his face with gentle, practiced movements. Daniel stared at her hands, the same hands that had cleaned his bathrooms, folded his clothes, prepared his meals, and felt a wave of shame so strong it almost knocked him over. "Why?" he whispered. "Why are you helping me? I don't even know if you have kids. I don't know where you're from. I don't know anything about you." Rosa was quiet for a moment. "I had a brother," she finally said. "He died 5 years ago because a pharmaceutical company cut corners on his medication to save money. Everyone said it was just bad luck. But it wasn't luck. It was greed." She looked at Daniel directly. "Since then, I pay attention. I watch people. I notice things. And when I see someone being hurt by people who should protect them, I can't just look away. Not anymore." A knock on the door made them both jump. Rosa moved to the window and peeked through the curtain. A car was parked across the street with its engine running. The knock came again, harder this time. "Rosa," a woman's voice called out. "You in there? I saw a strange car earlier." Rosa turned to Daniel and whispered, "If I tell you to run, you go out the back door. Don't wait for me. Just run." Daniel nodded, but he knew something with certainty now. He wasn't leaving without her. The knocking got louder. Rosa took a deep breath and walked to the front door, leaving the chain lock on. She opened it just a crack. Standing on the porch was Mrs. Williams from next door, wearing a bright red Christmas sweater and holding a plate covered with aluminum foil. She had a friendly smile, but her eyes were sharp, looking past Rosa, trying to see inside. "Hey there," Mrs. Williams said. "I got worried when I saw you come home late with a car I didn't recognize. Everything okay?" "Everything's fine," Rosa said calmly. "That was just my cousin. He dropped me off and left." Mrs. Williams held out the plate. Made extra sweet potato pie. Thought you might want some. That's very kind, Rosa said, taking it. Thank you. But Mrs. Williams didn't leave. She leaned closer, still trying to see past Rosa's shoulder. You look tired, honey. You doing all right? Just a long week at work, Rosa answered. Mrs. Williams pointed with her chin toward the street. That car over there's been sitting for about 20 minutes now. Engine running the whole time. Don't like it. Don't want trouble in this neighborhood. Rosa kept her voice steady. If I see anything suspicious, I'll call you right away. Mrs. Williams studied her face for a long moment. You hiding something in there, Rosa? No, Rosa said. Just tired and ready for some quiet. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Mrs. Williams replied slowly, then walked away. Rosa closed the door and locked it. For just a second, her shoulders sagged and her hands shook. Then she straightened up and went back to where Daniel was sitting. Daniel had his hood pulled up, trying to make himself smaller, invisible. He felt ridiculous, a billionaire hiding in a tiny house, depending on his housekeeper to keep him alive. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm putting you in danger. Rosa shook her head. Don't apologize. Just stay alive. Outside, they heard a car door slam. Rosa went to the window again and peeked out. A man in a dark jacket was walking toward the house. He moved with purpose, like he knew exactly where he was going. Someone's coming, Rosa whispered. Daniel tried to stand up, but the room spun. Rosa's hand on his shoulder kept him down. Stay, she said firmly. The man walked right up to the porch. The doorknob turned slowly, testing whether it was locked. Rosa picked up a kitchen knife, not because she thought she could win a fight, but because her hands needed to hold something solid. Then a voice came through the door. A voice Daniel knew. Rosa, the man called out. It's Captain Brooks. I'm here to help. Daniel's blood turned to ice. Rosa looked at him, and he saw the question in her eyes. What do we do? Captain Brooks knocked again, gentle but firm. Rosa, I know Mr. Thompson is in there. His wife is very worried about him. He's sick. He needs to go to a hospital. Daniel wanted to believe it. Captain Brooks had worked for him for 5 years. Good man, always professional, always reliable. But Rosa had heard Jessica talking to him on the phone. Mr. Thompson, Captain Brooks called out, his voice kind and concerned. Sir, I'm here to take you somewhere safe. Your wife explained everything. She's worried sick about you. There it was. The trap hidden in the words. Your wife explained everything. Not you need help. Not let me get you to safety. His wife first. Her story. Her version. Rosa leaned close to Daniel. If he was really here to help, she whispered, he wouldn't come alone. And he wouldn't act like your wife's word means more than your safety. Daniel nodded. She was right. Captain Brooks tried one more time. Last chance. If you don't open this door, I'll have to force it. And Rosa, I'll have to arrest you for kidnapping. Rosa pointed to the back door. Move, she mouthed silently. Daniel pushed himself up. His legs felt like water, but he made them work. Rosa grabbed his elbow and steadied him. They moved through the tiny kitchen toward the back exit. Behind them, they heard Captain Brooks say something into a radio. More people were coming. Rosa led Daniel out into the alley. They moved between fences and garbage bins, staying in the shadows. At one point, Rosa stopped and held up her hand, listening. Daniel heard voices in the distance, searching. They kept moving until they reached a small building with a white cross in the window. A sign out front read New Hope Community Church. Rosa knocked 3 times, not loud, just steady. After a moment, the door opened. A man in his 60s stood there, wearing jeans and a sweater. He had kind eyes that looked tired, like he'd seen a lot of pain in his life. Pastor Williams, Rosa said, her voice breaking for the first time. Please. We need help. Pastor Williams looked at Rosa, then at Daniel, and something in his expression changed. He stepped aside. Come in, he said quickly. Both of you. They entered the church. It was simple inside, wooden pews, plain walls, a small altar with candles. But it felt safe. Pastor Williams locked the door behind them. Daniel sank into one of the pews, completely exhausted. Rosa stood nearby, still ready to run if she had to. Tell me what's happening, Pastor Williams said. The words poured out of Daniel. His wife. His brother. The poison. The plan to kill him tonight. Rosa saving his life. All of it. Pastor Williams listened without interrupting. When Daniel finished, the pastor looked at Rosa. And you pulled him out? Rosa nodded. I heard them talking. I have some of the powder she was using, but I don't know if it's enough to prove anything. We need evidence that will hold up, Daniel said. Or Jessica will twist this whole thing. She'll say I'm confused, that I'm sick, that Rosa kidnapped me. She'll make herself look like the victim. Pastor Williams thought for a moment. Then we build the case carefully, he said. No rushing. No mistakes. He led them to a back room with a couch and a small table. He brought water and a first aid kit. Rosa showed him the plastic bag with the white powder inside. I know a nurse from this church, Pastor Williams said. She works at a free clinic. She can test this without asking questions. No police yet, not until we know who we can trust. Daniel looked at Rosa. Her face was calm, but he could see the fear underneath. She'd risked everything for him. Her job, her safety, maybe her life. I treated you like you were invisible, Daniel said to her. I walked past you every day and never really saw you. Rosa's eyes filled with tears, but her voice stayed strong. Stay alive first, she said. Then make it right. Outside, they heard sirens in the distance. The city was still celebrating Christmas, but in this small church, 3 people were planning how to stop a murder. Pastor Williams made a quiet phone call. When he hung up, he said, Nurse Jennifer is coming. She'll be here in 30 minutes. Those 30 minutes felt like hours. Daniel kept thinking about Jessica and Kevin, probably back at the mansion right now, wondering where he was. Planning their next move. When Nurse Jennifer arrived, she was quick and professional. She took a small blood sample from Daniel's finger. She sealed a tiny bit of the powder in a vial. I'll test these tonight, she said. It won't be perfect, but it'll tell us if he's being poisoned. Give me 2 hours. After she left, the church fell quiet. Rosa sat down for the first time, and Daniel saw how exhausted she was. You saved my life, he said again. I did what was right, Rosa replied. That's all. Pastor Williams opened a notebook. Let's think about what we need. Proof of the poison. Proof of who gave it. And a way to expose them that keeps both of you safe. Daniel remembered something. I installed a backup security system, he said. Jessica doesn't know about it. There's a camera in the kitchen that records to a hard drive hidden in my office safe. Rosa sat up straight. Your office is in the house. I know, Daniel said. But if we can get that hard drive, we'll have video of Jessica mixing the poison. Pastor Williams nodded slowly. Then we plan very carefully. No police until we have proof they can't deny. Outside, Christmas evening was settling over Atlanta. The same evening Jessica had planned to be Daniel's last. But he was still breathing. Still fighting. And for the first time in months, he wasn't alone. The plan was simple, but dangerous. They had to get back into Daniel's mansion, find his office, open the safe, and get the hard drive, all without being seen by Jessica, Kevin, or anyone else who might be working with them. Pastor Williams brought out keys to the church van. No fancy cars, he said. Nothing that stands out. Rosa found an old jacket and a baseball cap. She handed them to Daniel. Your face is known all over Atlanta, she said. Tonight, you need to look like an ordinary person. Daniel pulled the cap low and looked at himself in a small mirror. He barely recognized the man staring back. He looked tired, scared, smaller somehow. But maybe that was good. Maybe invisible was exactly what he needed to be. Nurse Jennifer called. Pastor Williams put it on speaker. It's poison, she said without any introduction. The powder matches what's in his blood. Small doses over time. Enough to make him sick but not enough to be obvious. A double dose could stop his heart. The room went silent. Daniel felt Rosa's hand squeeze his for just a moment. If they think he's still alive, Nurse Jennifer continued, they're going to move fast. Don't give them time. Pastor Williams looked at Daniel. We go tonight, he said, while they still think their plan is working. Daniel stood up. His legs shook once, then held steady. We go together, he said to Rosa. And we come back with proof. The church van rolled through Atlanta streets decorated for Christmas. Pastor Williams drove. Rosa watched the mirrors for any cars following them. Daniel stayed low in the back, trying to keep his breathing steady. They parked a block away from the mansion. Through the windows, Daniel could see the Christmas tree lights twinkling, the house looking perfect and peaceful. It made him feel sick. A car slowed down near the corner. Its headlights swept across the van. Everyone froze. The car paused for what felt like forever, then moved on. "Okay," Rosa whispered. "Stay close to me." They used the service entrance, the one Rosa used every day for work. She punched in the code, a code Daniel had never bothered to learn, even though it was his own house. The gate beeped and opened. Inside, they could hear soft music playing. Classical music, the kind Jessica liked. The kind that made everything seem civilized and normal, even when it wasn't. Rosa led them through the staff corridor, away from the main rooms. They paused at a corner when they heard voices. "He should have called by now," Jessica was saying. She sounded annoyed. "Maybe he's dead in a ditch somewhere," Kevin replied. He actually sounded hopeful. "Or maybe that maid warned him," Jessica said. "I knew I should have fired her weeks ago." Daniel felt Rosa tense beside him, but she didn't make a sound. She just pulled him forward, moving carefully, staying in the shadows. They reached Daniel's office. He unlocked it with a key he kept hidden in his shoe, a backup he'd never told anyone about. Inside, the room looked exactly the same. His desk, his chair, his wedding photo on the wall. Daniel couldn't look at that photo. Not anymore. He went to the wall where a painting hung, a landscape his mother had loved. Behind it was a small panel. Behind the panel was a safe. His hands shook as he entered the combination. The safe opened. Inside were important papers, some cash, and a small black hard drive. Daniel grabbed the drive and pressed it into Rosa's hand. "If they search me, they'll find it," he whispered. "You keep it." Rosa slid it into her pocket just as they heard a sound outside the office. A key turning in a lock. They dove behind the heavy curtain by the window, pressing themselves flat against the wall. The door opened. Kevin walked in first, moving fast, searching through desk drawers like he was looking for something. Jessica followed, holding another glass of that green poison. "Captain Brooks went to the church," Kevin said. "The pastor wouldn't let him in." Jessica's voice went sharp. "So Daniel's alive." "For now," Kevin said. "But we finish it tonight at the charity dinner. Cameras everywhere, lots of witnesses. We show up looking worried about him. We say he's been acting confused. We get him to a hospital, and in the hospital." He didn't finish, but the meaning was clear. "No mistakes this time," Jessica said. She looked around the office, and for a horrible moment, Daniel thought she was looking right at them. "Something feels wrong." "You're paranoid," Kevin said. "Maybe," Jessica replied. "But Rosa's been acting strange. Too quiet. I think she knows something." Kevin laughed. "Rosa's nobody. She's just a maid." Behind the curtain, Daniel felt Rosa go very still. Her face showed nothing, but he knew those words had hit her like a slap. Jessica and Kevin left, closing the door behind them. Rosa and Daniel waited, counting to 60, then slipped out. They made it back through the corridor and out to the service gate. The van was right where they'd left it. Pastor Williams had the engine running. They drove straight to the church. Nurse Jennifer was waiting with her laptop. Daniel handed her the hard drive, and she plugged it in. The video appeared on screen. Clear. Undeniable. There was Jessica in the kitchen, measuring white powder on a scale. There was Kevin beside her, watching. There was Jessica stirring the powder into a green smoothie, smiling as she did it. There was Jessica carrying the drink toward the stairs, toward Daniel's bedroom. The date stamp showed it was from just 3 days ago. "That's evidence," Pastor Williams said quietly. Daniel couldn't speak. Seeing it like this, so clear and deliberate, made it real in a way that hurt worse than the poison in his blood. Nurse Jennifer made one phone call. 20 minutes later, a federal agent arrived. Her name was Agent Rodriguez, and she watched the video twice without saying a word. "This is attempted murder," she finally said. "Multiple counts. Conspiracy. We can move on this tonight." "There's a charity dinner," Daniel said. "At the Piedmont Hotel. They'll be there. Lots of witnesses." Agent Rodriguez nodded. "Good. Public place. Hard for them to run." She looked at Rosa. "You're the one who saved him." Rosa nodded. "Then you're a hero," Agent Rodriguez said. "And we're going to make sure everyone knows it." The charity dinner was already underway when they arrived. Through the windows, Daniel could see people in expensive clothes, holding wine glasses, smiling and laughing. His world. The world where everything looked beautiful on the surface. Agent Rodriguez had brought backup, 4 other agents, all dressed like regular guests. They entered through different doors, spreading out through the ballroom. Pastor Williams squeezed Daniel's shoulder. "You ready?" Daniel looked at Rosa. She'd changed into a simple dress Pastor William's wife had brought. She looked nervous but determined. "Together," Daniel said to her. "We do this together." They walked into the ballroom through the main entrance. For a moment, nothing happened. The music kept playing. People kept talking. Then someone noticed. One person, then another, then a wave of silence spread across the room. Jessica was on stage, speaking into a microphone, saying something about charity and giving back and making the world better. Her voice was smooth and confident. Then she saw Daniel. Her face froze. The microphone slipped in her hand. Daniel walked forward through the crowd. People stepped aside. He could hear whispers starting. "Is that Daniel Thompson? I thought he was sick. Who's that woman with him?" Jessica recovered quickly. She put on a smile and came down from the stage, arms open like a loving wife. "Daniel," she said loud enough for people to hear. "Where have you been? I've been so worried." "No, you haven't," Daniel said clearly. "You've been angry that I'm still alive." The room went completely silent. Jessica's smile faltered. "Honey, you're not well. You're confused. Let me take you to the hospital." Jessica Thompson. Agent Rodriguez stepped forward, showing her badge. "You're under arrest for attempted murder." Gasps filled the ballroom. Someone dropped a glass. Jessica's face went from fake concern to real fear. "This is insane," she said, backing away. "I haven't done anything." "We have video," Agent Rodriguez said. "We have the poison. We have medical evidence. And we have the testimony of the woman who saved your husband's life." Two agents moved forward with handcuffs. Jessica looked around the room, looking for help, for someone to defend her. But everyone just stared. Kevin tried to disappear into the crowd, but another agent caught him. "Kevin Thompson, you're under arrest." "This is a lie," Kevin shouted. "My brother's crazy. He's been sick. That woman poisoned him, not us." But Daniel was already at the microphone. His voice was weak, but everyone heard him. "My wife and my brother have been poisoning me for months," he said. "Putting it in my morning drink every single day. They were going to kill me tonight." He pointed to Rosa. "This woman, Rosa Martinez, she noticed things I was too blind to see. She heard them planning it. She pulled me out of my own house before they could finish what they started. She risked her job and her life to save mine." Phones came up. Cameras started recording. This would be all over the news by morning. Jessica and Kevin were led out in handcuffs. As Jessica passed Daniel, she looked at him with pure hatred. "No more fake smiles. No more pretending. You'll regret this," she hissed. "No," Daniel said quietly. "I regret not seeing the truth sooner. I regret not seeing Rosa sooner. But this is the first right thing I've done in a long time." After Jessica and Kevin were taken away, the ballroom exploded with noise. People talking, reporters asking questions, cameras flashing. But Daniel didn't care about any of that. He turned to Rosa, who stood beside him looking overwhelmed by all the attention. He took her hand, not like an employer, but like a friend, like someone who owed her everything. "Ladies and gentlemen," Daniel said into the microphone, his voice getting stronger. "I want you all to know something important. Rosa Martinez didn't save me because I paid her. She didn't do it because she had to. She did it because it was the right thing to do. She saw evil happening and she chose to fight it, even when it put her in danger." Rosa's eyes filled with tears. She tried to pull her hand back, old habits telling her to stay invisible, but Daniel held on gently. "I'm a billionaire," Daniel continued. "I have money, power, connections. I had guards and cameras and every security system money could buy. But none of that saved me. You know what saved me? A good heart, courage, and a woman who noticed what everyone else ignored." He looked at Rosa directly now. "I'm sorry," he said, just to her. "I'm sorry I treated you like you didn't matter. I'm sorry I never asked about your life, your family, your dreams. I'm sorry I was too busy building an empire to see the person who made my life work every single day." Rosa wiped her eyes. "I just wanted you to live," she whispered. "I know," Daniel said. "And because of you, I will. But more than that, because of you, I'm going to live differently." The crowd started clapping. Then someone started cheering. Soon the whole room was standing, applauding Rosa like she was the most important person there. Because in that moment, she was. Outside, the church van was still parked at the curb, right next to the line of expensive luxury cars. Daniel walked past all those fancy vehicles and opened the van door for Rosa. "Come with me," he said. Not as my employee. As my friend. Let me help you the way you helped me. Rosa hesitated. I don't need your money, Mr. Thompson. Daniel, he corrected. Please. Just Daniel. I don't need charity, Daniel, Rosa said. I know you don't, Daniel replied. But you deserve support. You deserve opportunities. You deserve to be seen. He paused. My company needs good people. Real people. People who do the right thing even when it's hard. I'd be honored if you'd help me rebuild it into something better. Rosa looked at him for a long moment, then nodded and climbed into the van. Pastor Williams drove them away from the hotel, away from the chaos, back toward the small church that had been their safe place. In the van, Daniel couldn't stop looking at Rosa's hands. They were the same hands that had cleaned his house, hands he'd never really noticed before. But they were also the hands that had saved his life. My brother died because rich people cut corners, Rosa said quietly. They chose profit over his life. I couldn't save him. But when I saw them doing the same thing to you, choosing money over a human life, I couldn't just watch it happen again. Daniel felt tears on his face. What was his name? Your brother. Rosa looked surprised. Louis. His name was Louis. Tell me about him, Daniel said. So Rosa did. She told him about Louis, who loved baseball and worked 2 jobs to help their mother. Louis, who died from contaminated medication because a company decided safety testing was too expensive. Louis, who left behind a wife and 2 kids. I send them money when I can, Rosa said. His kids are in school now. They are smart. They are going to do something good with their lives. We'll make sure they do, Daniel said. College, whatever they need. Not charity, investment. In good people who deserve a chance. The van pulled up to Rosa's small house. The house that had sheltered Daniel when his mansion became a death trap. I'll understand if you want to move, Daniel said. After what happened tonight, people will know who you are. You might not feel safe here. Rosa looked at her little house with the plastic Christmas tree in the window. This is my home, she said. I'm not ashamed of it. You shouldn't be, Daniel said quickly. I didn't mean. Rosa smiled, the first real smile he'd seen from her. I know what you meant. Thank you. Over the next few weeks, the story spread across Atlanta and then across the country. The billionaire almost killed by his wife and brother. The housekeeper who saved his life. The dramatic arrest at a charity dinner. Jessica and Kevin tried to fight the charges, but the evidence was overwhelming. The video. The poison in Daniel's blood. The powder Rosa had saved. Captain Brooks turned on them too, cutting a deal to testify in exchange for a lighter sentence. The trial lasted 6 weeks. Daniel had to relive the whole nightmare in front of cameras and strangers. But Rosa was there every day, sitting in the courtroom, steady and strong. The jury found Jessica and Kevin guilty on all counts. Attempted murder. Conspiracy. Fraud. They were sentenced to 25 years in prison. When it was over, Daniel stood outside the courthouse with reporters shouting questions at him. He raised his hand for quiet. I learned something these past months, he said. I learned that the people we ignore are often the people who matter most. The people who clean our offices and cook our food and take care of our homes. We call them invisible, but they see everything. They know everything. And sometimes, they're the only ones brave enough to tell the truth. He found Rosa in the crowd. I'm starting a foundation, he said. In honor of Rosa's brother, Luis Martinez. It will protect workers, investigate companies that cut corners on safety, and provide legal help for people who can't afford it. Rosa will run it. Rosa's mouth opened in surprise. Daniel, I can't. You can, he said. You're the bravest, most honest person I've ever met. You're exactly who should be in charge. Slowly, Rosa nodded. For Luis, she said. For Luis, Daniel agreed. And for everyone like him. A year later, Daniel sold his mansion. He couldn't live there anymore. Too many bad memories, too many lies hidden in those perfect rooms. He bought a smaller house, nothing fancy, and donated most of his money to the foundation. He showed up at the foundation office every day, working alongside Rosa and a team of people dedicated to protecting workers and holding companies accountable. One morning, Rosa brought him coffee, not a green smoothie, never again, and sat down across from his desk. You know, she said, you could have just said thank you and moved on with your life. You didn't have to change everything. Daniel looked around the simple office, at the photos on the wall of workers they'd helped, at the mission statement Rosa had written. I was dying, he said. Not just from the poison, from the life I was living. Too focused on money and power to see what really mattered. You didn't just save my life, Rosa. You gave me a chance to live it right. Rosa smiled. So what happens now? Now, Daniel said, we keep working. We keep fighting. We keep seeing people. And that's exactly what they did. Dear friends, this story is about more than just a billionaire and a housekeeper. It's about the people we walk past every day without really seeing. The people who serve our food, clean our spaces, take care of our children, keep our world running. We call them invisible, but they are not. They are watching. They are listening. They are human beings with families and dreams and pain we never bother to ask about. Daniel Thompson had everything money could buy, but it couldn't save him from the people closest to him. Rosa Martinez had almost nothing, but she had something money can't buy: courage, integrity, and a heart that chose good over evil. Sometimes the people we overlook are the angels God puts in our path. Sometimes the person we treat like they don't matter is the only one who will stand up when everyone else walks away. And sometimes, if we're lucky enough to survive our own blindness, we get a second chance to see clearly. Now I want to hear from you. Comment below and tell me where you're watching from. Share what this story meant to you. If this message touched your heart, please like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that matter. Before you go, I want you to think about 3 questions. First, who are the invisible people in your life? The ones you see every day but never really notice. Maybe it's time to see them. Second, if you were in Daniel's position, would you have the humility to accept help from someone you'd overlooked? Would you have the courage to change? Third, if you were in Rosa's position, would you risk everything to save someone who barely knew your name? These aren't easy questions, but they are important ones. Because in the end, we're all Rosa. We're all Daniel. We all have the choice to see or to ignore, to help or to walk away, to change or to stay the same. Choose wisely. Thank you for watching.